This conference will now be recorded.
Um, Hi, good morning, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, Veerish.
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah, okay. Um, Yesterday, Vikas, I think the meeting got ended suddenly. I think we were talking.
And yeah, I did. I tried to get back to connect, but it didn't happen. That's why. I don't know what happened. It dropped all the way sudden.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, we'll try to connect if you have any other questions, Vikas, after this meeting then.
Okay, no.
Yeah, okay. Right. Let's connect. Yeah. So this yesterday, you had that question, right? The token regarding the token. So the
Yes.
duration is actually 3 months by default, but
Mm-hmm.
you can change it. Like there are options. You can token update option is there. There's a command. So using that command, you can also change the expiry duration of that token. Okay.
Okay.
So by default, it is 3 months. And if you want to, let's say you don't remember it, there is a
Mm.
command called as join token and worker. You need to give like a worker. I'll give you the command, okay? But I just found out that it is for 3 months. If you have forgotten the token also, it will be stored on the Docker side, but I'll let you know where it is stored. But there's a command using that you can retrieve the token. You can see it on your command line, and from there you can either join as a manager or as a worker. So there will be 2 tokens generated when you initialize, one for the manager and one for the worker node. I'll give you the details, but what I found is the expiry duration is for 3 months, and we can update it. Is what I have found out. I think let me see if the link is there somewhere. I was able to. Yeah, this one I think I can just put it on your. Um, Okay, just go through this if you need to. There are options there saying you can rotate the certificates and things like that. Okay, so yeah, this is what usually they're saying. It will be for 3 months.
Okay.
And if you want to add a manager, like if you just say Docker Swarm join token manager, it will display the token basically this way, right? This is the
Okay.
token you'll get the token. And then using this token, you can just join on the node as a manager. Same way with the worker node as well. Okay, you'll get the token. They say Docker Swarm join token worker, then you'll get the token displayed. So using this token, you can join as a worker node. And there are options to rotate these keys as well, like I was telling, right? As it is written here. I didn't find any documentation on the Docker. There is not much detail. So this URL was much, it has much details. Yeah, you can also go with certificate rotation also is there. Yeah, rotate the certificates like this. So default is 3 months, right? So after that, if you want to update it, you can go with the updates as well. Let's say you want to update for 7 days, you can maintain it. Okay, I just put the link, just go through that. If you have any other questions, we'll see that. Huh?
Okay, thank you.
Right. Okay, so we'll continue with some of the topics that we were discussing, right? All right, so let's take up this entry point and CMD. Let's try to understand a little bit more about this one. We'll connect. Let's clear this. We'll go with Okay, so I'll write a from command. I'm just trying to pull an Ubuntu image. Let's say 16 Ubuntu flavor, and I'll be using. Let's say first, what is the CMD command is doing? Okay, CMD command. What we can do is you can once the container is created, I'm saying that run this particular command on the container. Once the container is created, just run this particular command. Okay. So I'll say echo basic simple command. I'll take echo and say hello world, something like that. Okay. And that's it. I will just go and save this. Okay. Now let's go and build it. So we'll give it a name and it'll take from the current Docker file. So Ubuntu 16 is not there. Let me see that. Okay, I can take 1604. Let's try this one. Okay, so let's go and run it. Okay, it's running in the detached mode. So let's go and kill it and run it again. I think it is getting killed somewhere. Let's say think there are lots of containers running. Let's go and kill some of these. Let's see. Um, it is getting created, but it is also going to the exited state. I'm not sure why. That's the CMD command looks to be fine. Like we can use it in this way, like echo $home. You can provide the parameters. Don't see any problem there. Yeah, this is perfectly correct. This okay. Let's take this version. I'm not sure whether this will work. Let's take this version. Starting container process is causing the error execute. Okay, this one is creating, but let's go and see Docker PS. No, it's not running. Not sure what's happening. Let's see. So basic command actually, see if you see here, right? If you use, see this is one of the example they have given here, right? It should basically run the CMD. This is a format how you pass it. First parameter is the command that, let's say, any executable you have, you want to run some command. So that you will be putting in the first here, and then what are the parameters you will be passing over here. Command looks fine, but somehow it's not able to run. This is one of the example that we've seen. This one is created. Okay, this one is created. Let's try to attach to this. Docker attach. It's getting exited. Any idea you guys have? This is just a simple Ubuntu, but I don't know why it's throwing error. Why it's simply getting exited always. Need to search that one. So exit code is 0. Let's see why that is. Exit code. Okay. So what we'll do is, let's try this option. Okay. So basically, when I'm trying to run in a detached mode, right? So it needs to have a shell. Only then, otherwise it is going to throw error. So if I'm trying to run it in a detached mode or in an interactive mode. So the first command should be the shell. Shell should be available in this image. If the shell is not available, then it will be throwing an error. So now you can see whenever I'm running the container, it is giving the hello world, right? So I can just override this and let's say um, I want to display world 123. Again, there is an error. So let me say that. So if I put as hello world 123, already it is running. Let's see sudo docker ps. Okay, so this one is throwing an error. Execute. Okay, so you can override it when you're running in this way. Let's say you have a command. This is the default command that will be running whenever you start the container. But you can also change it when you are running at the runtime. You want to say that instead of hello world, I want to display just the word hello. So you can at the runtime you can change it whenever you're using a command. Okay, but let's go and change the Docker file. and now instead of CMD, we will make it as entry point. We'll make it as an entry point. Now let's save it.
Basically, sorry, Viresh, one question.
Yeah,
Hello? Yeah, can you
yeah, I can hear you.
get back to the Docker file? So here, instead of hello world, there will be coding, right? Basically in work, I mean in live environment, I mean in work environment, what is going to be there instead of hello world?
You can add any command. Let's say you want to start a service. Okay. So
Okay.
that service, you can start, let's say, you can give the details over here. You want to run a command. Say, for example, you want to start a Apache in the background. So that command will be, you will be giving over here instead of this one.
Okay. And
Okay.
this Ubuntu 18.04, 16.04, these are already pre-generated in the Docker thing, or how they are? I mean,
See, this is again first. See, whenever you are creating you're creating a Docker file, right? The first thing what you're writing is you are pulling an operating system. Right? There's a very basic first thing in
yeah.
your Docker file should be you need to pull an image. So it can be Ubuntu, as we have seen. We also seen CentOS when we are creating the Jenkins, right? We have seen CentOS, or it can be an Alpine, right? So this image you need to pull it so that every Docker file, the basic requirement is it will have an operating system layer first, then any prerequisites second, third is any application that you want to install. It can be Apache, Tomcat, Jenkins, Jira, any service, any application you want to install. These are the steps. So first, always you'll need to pull an image. Okay, and you need to know which image you are pulling here. So that's where I went to Docker Hub. It will be pulling this image from Docker Hub. Basically, default it will pull from here. But if you have your own set of repositories, usually what happens in organizations is they'll have their own set of images stored in the repositories. So it will point to that repository and it will pull the image from there. Okay, so this is important. Like anytime, first thing is you need to have the operating system. Just like we are having this CentOS, right? Here for your
I have
image.
one more question. How can we, I mean, how can we recognize that what operating system is going on in the organization? I mean, how can we check it? Is there any command to check what OS is going, I mean, they are using?
Yeah, there is a command like you can go with uname -a. Okay, so this will give the details like CentOS. So this is using this particular version, and this is the Linux version. There's one more -r release. It'll only be give the what is the release one. There is one file as well, like etc/release. I think, yeah, you can get the command. It's quite simple, like get the release version of Linux. It should be, yeah, this one is their release version. Yeah, cat etc os release. I think this should give the details. Yeah, so this will give the entire details here, right? What is the operating system version and other details here.
Yes,
Can see.
next questions. Okay. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, so this is a command. All right, so now what we're doing is we are adding the entry point. So we're trying to understand what entry point does it. I have not changed anything, just put it as an entry point. Now let's try to run this. I'll clear this, everything. Docker run 1 to 18. Did we build it? I don't think so. We have built it. So let's go and build it first. Okay, here's the Docker file. Okay, now it has been built. So we'll go with the sudo docker run. So even in this case, you can see that the hello world is getting displayed. Let's say I want to override this, and let's say I will go with say only hello. It will append to the existing command. So the existing command will run always. So this won't change, and it'll just append to the existing command. It'll append. Okay, and always remember that entry point is the main command for your container, right? If that command, it can be anything. It can be bin sh or bin bash, or you want to start a service in the background. So if that command in that container is killed, then your entire container will be destroyed. So that's a very important point. Like entry point is the important command that will run in the container on the process ID 1. So process ID 1, it will be running on the process ID 1. That's another point you need to take it. So PID 1 is important in the, so this is the command that will be running inside the container. It will be running inside the container. So the entry point will be running on this PID 1. So by any chance inside the container you go and kill this process ID 1, then the container will be, it will be destroyed. You'll be coming out of the container and that container will be lost basically, right? But CMD is not like that. CMD, it will be running as a command. Whenever the container starts, it will be running inside the container as a command. So it doesn't matter. So entry point is important there. These are subtle differences. Let's say this, whatever we are seeing here, right? So this command will always run whenever you're using an entry point, and anything you want to change on the runtime, it will always append to the existing command here. Unlike in case of command, you can override. You can override and say echo hello means only hello will be displayed. Okay, but you can use with the combination both. Let's say if I go to the Docker file, and instead of in the entry point and command also I can use it. Let's say I'll give CMD here, and in this I can pass the parameters. So whatever is there like hello world, so I can pass it here, and in the entry point I'll just keep the command, right? So what I'll do is I can just only the command I'll keep in the entry point, and I'll keep the flexibility that this CMD will provide the parameters, right? I can use in the combination like this. So in this case, what happens? Let's go and save this. We'll build the Docker file. Okay, it has been built. So let's clear this. And here, when I trying to run, okay, so I can say 1, 2, 3. So that's one. This flexibility is there now. So I'm overriding. If I don't do anything, just leave it as it is. It will run hello world. It is taking from the CMD. If I want to override, I can just override with anything I want here. Okay, you're getting the point, right? If you go to the Docker file, you can see that by default, if I simply run this container, it will display hello world. If I want to override it as well, I can just go with this one. It will display this one. So there's some flexibility with the entry point and CMD when you're using it.
When you want both of them, I mean the hello
Yeah,
world and hello 123 side by side.
then you have to put it in the entry point. In the
Okay.
entry point, you should say that I want to always run this command. So whatever is there in the entry point, that will always run.
Okay.
Okay, that has to always run. And then whatever you are giving here, that will be appended in case of entry point.
Okay.
But CMD is optional. CMD, what happens is you can override whenever you're running the container, right? If you give any, this is the default one. If you're not giving anything here, it will always run the default command. But you can override whenever you are using the CMD. CMD is just like optional. Entry point, always it runs the command. Okay. And you can use the combination here. Let's say this command is echo is already there. I'll just pass this parameter so that it will display that on the screen. So I'm not passing anything here. It will take the default one and it will display. The hello world is being displayed here in this case. There are some examples like let's say I want to say entry point for Apache server. So if you want to explore any Docker file, right, you can just go to any of these and just click on the latest or anything. So it will take to the Docker file. It is all stored in the Git. So you can have a look at it here. Is trying to install Apache, and at the very last, you can see that they're using this CMD. So what they're doing is they are running HTTPD in the foreground. Okay. So likewise, they can use entry point as well. Sometimes they'll be using the entry point. So let's see that. Here it is running CMD. Let's see any other example we have. Okay, it will be something like this. Let's say I want to launch the Apache. See, the command will be from this path user bin Apache CTL, run the command in the background. Okay, so this again, you can see an example from Ubuntu only they have started. They're setting all these environmental variables, like what is the Apache user, group, directory, PID file, server name, and they're getting the latest APT. APT get is like the package manager. It's a package manager in Ubuntu. Like we have yum installer in CentOS, right? Similarly, apt-get is the package manager in Ubuntu. So they're updating it and they're installing Apache server. Okay. And finally, some configuration files they're copying. They're exposing the port 80, and this is the command they are running to start the service in the background. They're putting in the foreground, it will run as a service there. Okay, just put it as a link. Maybe you can just have a reference again. All right. Any other questions, Vikas or anybody? Any other questions? Okay. So if don't have any questions, so we'll just make a note of these different deployment strategies that we were talking yesterday, right? That rolling updates. Then we can say canary deployments. Then we have blue-green. We have red, black. So there are different strategies. So these are mainly applicable with the Kubernetes. Okay. With Docker also we can achieve rolling updates. Canary, yeah, not seen canary. Blue-green also possible. So we'll discuss more about this rolling strategies, like what it means with each of these deployment strategy. What happens in the rolling is, let's take an example that we have uh, 4 containers that are running in the production. What will happen in case of rolling update is, um, I will define, let's say, out of 4, 25% of the container I will be taking down. That means out of 4, 1 container I'll take down, I'll update it. Once it is up and running, I'll be taking down second container, means I'll bring down or shut down the second container. Again, I'll update with the new version. Once it is up and running, I'll go with the third container and so on with the fourth container. So your updates are rolling. And you can define, let's say 25% of the container I'm going to target first, update the 25%. Once it is up and running, I'll go with the next 25% and like that up to 100% it goes. Canary deployment is again, I can have 2 versions, version 1 and version 2 deployed at the same point of time. And the main important point here is you can route the traffic between version 1 and version 2. I think this is very at a high level. I'm just talking, but this might be important. You might want to talk about this deployment strategy in your interview. So that's why I'm just focusing a little bit over here. You can just go back and read more about what it is, what are the different strategies being used. But basically what happens is you are deploying two versions, version 1 and version 2 of the containers in the production environment, and you're routing the traffic between them. Routing in the sense, let's say version 1, I want to route a traffic of 90%, all right, and version 2, I want to route the traffic of 10%, right? Now, why this is required is, say in the version 2, I'll be deploying only some small feature. Let's just like a trial, on a trial basis. You want to try out some feature, like how Facebook or they come up with a new feature, right? They want to see the user experience, if the user will like this particular feature or not. So in that scenario, what happens is they'll release this version and they will target to small set of users. Now this traffic is, again, it might be region specific, user specific. It can target like only these particular users in this region can use this feature, and on an experimental basis they can give the feedback. So based on the feedback, if okay, user likes the feature and everything, then they'll release it to the wider audience. Okay, so in that case of scenario, in version 2, they will only route the traffic to particular area and particular region, and they'll target to particular user group, maybe age group also they can target. So based on the data they have, they can say, okay, based on this user category, based from 20 to 30 years of age group, so always serve this particular URL or this feature to those particular users. So based on their feedback, they'll make the improvements, and if they like it, they'll release it to the whole audience, right? So in that scenario, this kind of deployment is very helpful, canary deployment. So you can release a version and target it to some particular users, and then this is all in the live environment, in the production only. So on the live, you will get the real-time feedback. So based on that, again, you can automatically redirect the traffic with this. Just there are options. You can use a deployment in this strategy. You can use there are tools like which will route the traffic just from the GUI. You can go to the GUI, and instead of saying like 10% here, 90%, I can just go and change it to 100%, and this I'll make it as, or I just want to change everything to version 2, I'll make this as 0%, and I'll make it as 100%. Right. So these options are there wherein you can automatically change it. Just you can go to the file, and you can change the version to 100% and make this one as 0. Now all the traffic will be routed to the version 2 only. Even blue green is of the same strategy. So you'll have version 1 and version 2 both running in parallel. So both will be running in parallel. You can do some testing on version 2. Unlike in this case, you're not routing any traffic. So version 1 is running with 100% traffic. Right here it is running with 100% traffic. Version 2 also deployed, and you want to do some testing, some performance testing or load testing or something like that. On the version 2, you can run it. So once the version 2 is approved and tested and everything, then you can automatically shift back the entire traffic to version 2. So this automatically becomes 0, and this becomes the latest version. Even red black is on the same level. So you can automatically switch from version 1 to version 2. This is not mostly this is not used. There are scenarios where red black will be used, but there is a switch happening from version 1 to version 2 in red black. So completely from version 1 to you're switching to version 2. This might happen in case of any rollbacks. Let's say some issue happened and you want to roll back to another version. So you can go with the red flag. Simply you can switch entire traffic from version 1 to version 2. Okay. But this is very common, like rolling updates. Canary deployments are now getting popular. Even Blue Green and Canary, these two are now very much popular in to explore more on these two, just in case.
So one question, small confusion, sorry. The Canary and Blue-Green deployment, both of them. So in your explanation, you can, you can put as a percentage for version 1 and version 2 in Canary deployment, right? But they
Right.
both, but they work parallelly?
In case of Canary,
Yeah,
this one,
yeah.
yeah, they work in parallel. That's right.
So both of them work
So
in
what
the
is happening
parallel.
is, yes, that's how it works. Let's say 100% traffic is there. 100 users are coming to your website. So you can
Mhm.
say 90% I will route it to this version 1, right? And that only 10%. Again, the 10% you're deciding. It can be, when I say 10%, you are targeting certain users, right? Users means when I log in, I'll have all the details, right? I'll go back to my database and check what is the user group, which region I'm coming from, what is my age group, and things like that. Certain criteria we'll check there. So based on that, if you belong to that category, then you will be routed with this particular version. So when I log in with this particular user group and range, I'll get a different page, right? So you can on the live you can target certain users, get their feedback, and then you can route the entire traffic. So both will be running in parallel, but only this set of users will be able to see this version 2. The other 90% will always see version 1 only.
Okay, and in Blue-Green, both of them parallel. Uh,
Blue green, what happens
you
is,
define, you can't define the set of
so
users according to their age or whatever it is.
um, no, you can't do it. You can't route the traffic. Like in this case, you can even do like 50% here or 10. You can jump the traffic like just with a command. But in this case, version 1 will be running. Okay. And then version 2 also you will deploy parallelly, but there will be no traffic. All the traffic will be on version 1 only.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So version 2 you have deployed on the production. You want to run some performance test, some load test or anything. Once you're happy with the version 2, then you will on a phased manner, let's say on a you just route the 20% of the traffic. You wait for some 5 minutes for everything to be working, and then after 5 minutes you route in another 20, and finally 100% you achieve here in this case. But in this case, version 1 will always be running with 100%. And version 2, you are just as an experimental basis for your testing team to test anything in live, and see how the GUI changes. Let's say, let's take an example. Say blue green, when it is happening is you have deployed a version 1 in production, and there is an issue, right? There is an issue that came up as soon as you deployed. Now you you can either roll back to previous version, or let's say it is affecting only few percentage of users out of 100%. Let's say only 10% or very less, let's say only 2-3% are impacted. Now instead of rolling back would take a lot of time. So what you'll be doing is you'll say that there is an issue, you will intimate the particular user group, and then there will be a fix being done, like a hot fix you want to do. You'll do a hot fix and you release at a version 2. On the version 2, you'll go and test on the live and see if everything is working as expected. If everything is good, then you will route all the traffic to the version 2. with the latest fix that you have done.
Okay.
So that's one of the scenario you'll be going with the blue-green deployment. Here red black again, it is same. It looks same like blue green and red black, but it is a jump from version 1 to version 2. Let's say you want to roll back, so red black will be the option there. You already have a tested version, so you made some changes, you deployed, and you saw that okay, it's impacting, let's say, more than 50 to 60% of the users. Then you simply roll back to version 2 there. So the version 2 is will directly jump and you switch the entire traffic to the version 2 there. Okay, so this is not much popular, but Canary and Blue Green are very much popular nowadays. So Canary, there are again, you might hear a lot of people talking about Canary deployments. There are tools now which have come in, which will route all this traffic, and you can do it by tools like Istio is there. It's like a service mesh manager, service mesh. So it is also, there are tools like Kiali. Kiali is there. Kiali you'll be able to see in this Kiali tool how your microservice architecture, how is the flow of your entire architecture. When the request is coming, it goes to which microservice, which talk to which microservice. So that entire observability is now very important. Like they call it as observability. So observability is, I think the spelling is wrong, but they call it as observability. So you are observing your entire architecture of your microservice or your monolithic application. It can be any architecture. It might be either a big monolithic application running. So either they can be only two. One is a monolithic application. You can either have an architecture of monolithic application or microservices. Now, only two things are running currently, microservices. So microservices, in order to manage all this traffic and service complexity, we need some tool called as like Istio is there. And there are other tools in the market. Competitors are there. Linkerd is there, which is also similar to Istio. So all these things will, you'll be able to see how your microservices architecture is there. When is the request coming? Which microservice calling another microservice? So all those things you can absorb using Istio. You can do this Canary deployment, and also using Kiali, you can observe the architecture of these microservices. So that's getting now very popular, microservices. And these tools, there are a lot of things coming in the market. So Kiali is one of them. So we had tried Istio in our environment, but since it didn't get approved, but we are also looking at other options like even Argo. Argo is one of the tool. It provides the same flexibility like this Canary deployments and blue-green deployments. So we're looking at options of using Argo in our environment. So right now, Canary is not there. So in the next releases, they are planning with the Canary deployment. So once it is released, we are trying to adopt this option from Argo. But Kiali, we had tried. Kiali and Istio, we had tried. So it's pretty good. It works very well with the microservices. You'll get the entire picture how it looks like. You can go and search for Kiali and some of the videos. If you see, you'll get to know how you can observe your all the microservices are. It'll give you the flow, how it is going from which microservice it is calling which microservice. And if you are using Canary deployments, you can also see the percentage of traffic being routed. So it's very animated. It's very good. So you can have a look at it. It might be useful. you can talk about this in your interviews as well. So they'll be also interested as well. Okay. All right. I think we are focusing more on this Docker because these are the important topics. All right. Jenkins is all there. Ansible, they might not concentrate that much, but Docker and Kubernetes is what mainly they'll be focusing on in the interviews, right? So that's where I'm just spending more time here. It is more theoretical this point of time, but it's good to know these concepts. And you can start thinking on these things like deployment strategies, and this is what you'll be talking in the interview, right? So you'll saying, okay, we are using this deployment strategy. This is how we are deploying things, and like that, right? So you get some use cases. Try to know which tools are there being used, and then you can talk about them in the interviews. All right. So any questions on this one?
Not for me now.
All right. So yeah, main focus should be on this areas, like if you're preparing, right, for any of the interviews. So just keep in mind this are the focus areas, right, which will add definitely, because now these are in the current trend in the market, like deployment strategies and what they want to go with. And definitely Canary is one of them. Blue Green also is being used, but yeah, just good to know that these are available so that at least you'll start focusing on these things and reading more on these areas, right?
So out of Canary and Blue Green deployment, which is more flexible? I mean, for
See,
the big scale organization.
flexibility again, it depends on use cases and what type of application you have in production. See, Canary will be more useful wherever you want to experiment, like you have some website. It might be like even Amazon, Flipkart, or any social media, any social networking websites, right? Where on an experimental basis, you are trying new features and you are providing those features to the users. So based on their feedback, you again go back and implement it to the entire user database, right? So in that use case, this will be very useful, right? If you want to route some traffic and you want to see and get their feedback, and this will be very useful. Blue green, again, as I said, it depends. Like you need to get some use case. Let's say some transactions, some banking transactions are there where transactions are involved. You cannot try with all these routing the traffic and seeing that how it works. You cannot go with those applications in the blue green. So the blue green, what you'll be doing is you'll going with the version 1, everything is tested and working fine. And version 2, you'll have, let's say something breaks and you want to test it out. You do the testing there, everything looks good, and then you slowly route your traffic to the version 2, right? So any transaction based is there where we cannot take any risk and things like that, you have to go with the blue green deployment, right? So there's a choice based on the use case, your application, your project you're using, how critical it is it user based or transaction based, business logic is involved, validations are involved. So it all depends on that one. Okay, I'm just giving a overview of the deployment strategy. There is a lot to explore on these areas. So it's very new, but it's definitely worth exploring on these lines. Okay, I'll try to see if I can get any more materials on this side so that it'll be handy for you guys to go through. But yeah, just try to learn more on this, try to gather more information, and can go with that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Think we can stop it here today. What do you say? Like, or shall we continue? I wanted to start Ansible, and then finally we'll go last with the Kubernetes.
How
If
many
it is a
classes?
new, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead. No worries.
No, I was just saying if it is a new topic, maybe we will continue tomorrow.
Yes, yeah. That's what I was thinking.
How many more
Because
classes?
already, see, Ansible requires at least 2 days, like 2 hours. Kubernetes will need around 3 to 4 classes is what I'm thinking. So totally 6 hours. So today is Wednesday. We have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 days. So probably we can we're going 1.5 hours, right? So Monday, Tuesday, or by next Wednesday we should be done. Next Wednesday we should be done maximum.
Oh, okay. So we
Because
go ahead with this Friday or we go ahead on
yeah,
Sunday?
considering that we are having class on Friday, and it's your Friday evening and Sunday evening. Otherwise it will be
Friday
delayed.
evening we'll start at 9:30 if you guys have no problem.
Friday evening also it's okay, means then we'll be able to cover more. Otherwise it will again delay till next week,
No,
and
I'm
it
just
will go
saying
till next
we'll start at
Friday.
9:30. I'm okay with the class, but half an hour late.
Like usually what we start, right? 7 is your 9:30, I think.
Yes.
Like we are starting half an hour before, right? So we'll start on time, you're saying, on Friday.
Yeah, just on Friday because I'm
Okay.
pretty sure I'm gonna stuck on the work on the weekend because nobody there. So they'll hold me a bit late on the Friday. That's why.
All right. So please let me know based on your availability. We will try to connect on that day. Is it
This Friday
others
we'll
are okay
start
with that?
9:30. I mean, if the other two people has no problem, I
Are okay.
can.
Yeah. That's what.
I have no problem with the
What about?
timing so far.
All right. Let's try to target it for next Wednesday. We'll try to cover two again important topics like Ansible is still fine. Kubernetes is what we'll try to look into. All right. Okay.
Okay then.
Karthik, I think Karthik has replied something. I don't want to.
Karthik.
Karthik has left, I think, maybe. All right.
Oh, you
Oh, I
left.
think he has dropped. He's dropped anyways. Okay, so
Okay.
just yeah, we will.
Oh, no, nothing.
Let
I
me know
was
if
just
you have any more
saying,
questions.
no questions now.
Yeah, okay.
I can drop, right? Maybe
Just
you
let me
have
know
something
anything.
to discuss. No,
Yeah,
nothing.
nothing like because you have. I think we are done, right? Yesterday that resume. So anything to talk on that one, or we are done with like. I think you made. There was not much changes. Just we were discussing, right? What were the things you need to focus on in the interviews, right? That's all. Because you're there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. I just put on mute and I was speaking. So after
Okay.
Wednesday, if we are done, if you don't mind, we'll held till the weekend 3 more classes. I mean, if we are trying anything, if we have any doubts or questions, we'll, if you don't mind, we'll
Yes.
go ahead 3 more
Yeah.
classes. So because there's
Yes.
not another laptop, so
Definitely.
I'm trying to work on everything from the beginning. So
Like,
Not major, I'm not going to waste.
yeah, this is not.
Just small things.
No, we will focus on, like, once we are done with these things, right? We'll focus on the things that you need to concentrate and talk about in your interviews, like how we already started discussing that, but we'll continue with that, and we'll focus mainly on how you're going to present and what are the areas you need to talk about when you say CI/CD, what you have done in CI/CD. Also, I'm trying to set up that CI/CD with Artifactory and SonarQube. That should be done by at least, yeah, by Monday. We should be able to see that CI/CD. And also Ansible we are deploying, right? So you'll get a complete picture, like in the CI process, you'll have Artifactory and SonarQube integrated in the pipeline. So that you can explain very well once you have that, uh, once we'll see that how it is running, right? So that thing you can explain in your interviews. Along with that, you can talk about Kubernetes and Docker as well, and some of these strategies, deployment strategies, and things like that. So I think that will add more things. And apart from that, you also maybe they'll ask something on AWS. Maybe you might have prepared all those things. So yeah, that should be good at least.
Okay then. See you tomorrow.
All right. All right.
Okay.
I think pretty. All right. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye bye. Bye.
Bye.